All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. Welcome, 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 everyone. We are back. We are live, and we had just got finished with the COINTELPRO. Now we're on to another important informational reading with the 10 stages of genocide. And I have my awesome co-host, Sister Mayat. Peace and blessings, Queen. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing today?
Yes, ma'am. Doing good. Fired up and ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right quick while we do a
Okay.
quick intro because I want to tell you why I chose this topic.
Okay.
We could share the screen, please. Let me know when it's up.
Yes, ma'am. It's up.
All right, so actually there are 10 stages of genocide based on some research that I was doing. The individual's name, hold on, let me pull up his name right quick before the 10 stages of, sorry, I didn't have it ready, but okay. So, no. Okay, so I'm sorry, we'll get to it. But anyway, there are 10 stages of genocide based on some information that we're going to be presenting in this. Look like it's going to be a 10-part series.
Mm.
I came across this information last year, and as I began to read this PDF file, I was I was taken away. I found it very interesting. It was very informative, but I was extremely concerned with the information that I was learning. And when it comes to genocide, based on the information that I learned from this file, is that we are victims of genocide. And a lot of Black people don't know that. They don't see it. They don't understand it. But after we finish this reading, what I hope for Black people, for those of us that participate in the reading, that share the reading, that comment in the reading, that go through the whole entire series, I really hope that we make some serious lifestyle changes so that we can actually see Europeans for who they are. Because we know that they are the devil. We
Mhm.
know that they are master manipulators. We know that they are liars. We know that they're murderers. But with this particular reading, like I said earlier today, if there is a word to describe them that's worse than the devil, I would like to know what that word is.
Mm.
Because when I went through these 10 stages, I was able to literally identify specific examples of the stages of genocide that they committed against us. And it still continues to this day. Okay. So
Mm.
no matter how big, no matter how small the example may be, the fact is we are victims of genocide, and their goal is to kill us, literally, to wipe us the fuck off this earth. And we have
Mm.
to identify what they do so we can talk about it, share it with our friends and family, identify it, be careful not to be, get caught in certain traps. Because how can we wake up if we don't have the knowledge that we need to
Right.
see things for what it really is? So tonight, I'm going to buckle my seatbelt because when I went over classification, finding specific examples based upon what he's talking about, the author
Mhm.
who I'm going to introduce, I was speechless. And this was around like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I could not talk.
Mm.
I was at a loss for words. Okay. So
Mm.
10 stages of genocide. Tonight, we're going to talk about classification. So before I begin, let me go back to you. And I'm going to start with, um, let me start with a brief introduction, and then we'll do a more lengthy one if I need to. Okay.
Okay.
So this information was provided by Dr. Gregory H. Stanton. And he has an organization, if I'm not mistaken, it's a nonprofit organization, the Genocide Education Project. His goal is to educate people on the stages of genocide so that we can identify it. And as I stated, not be caught in its traps, but hopefully to make a better world for everybody. But we know as long as the white man is living, there's not gonna be no peace. I don't give a damn what nobody say. As
Mhm.
long as they're here, it ain't gonna be no peace. It's impossible as far as I'm concerned. So, 10 stages of genocide. It said it was a document developed by Dr. Gregory H. Stanton. Do you see the PDF file on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Gregory H. Stanton, a professor at Mary Washington University and the vice president of the International Association of Genocide Scholars, 2006. Stanton also leads Genocide Watch, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the first, I'm sorry, Stanton also leads Genocide Watch, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the fight against genocide. 10 Stages of Genocide was originally written in 1996 at the United States Department of State as the 8 Stages of Genocide, presented at the Yale University Center for International and Area Studies in 1998 and revised in 2013. 10 Stages of Genocide is a formula for how a society can engage in genocide. Genocide cannot be committed by an individual or small group. Rather, it takes the cooperation of a large number of people and the state. The genocidal process starts with prejudice that continues to grow. And by knowing the stages of genocide, citizens are better equipped to identify the warning signs and stop the process from continuing. So, as we go through this series, we're going to go through all of the stages: classification, symbolization, discrimination, dehumanization, organization, polarization, preparation, persecution, extermination, and denial. Now, while I'm pulling up the next thing, I need you to pull up the PDF file so you can manipulate that on your end, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen once again, and we're going to put a face to a name before we get into this series.
Okay.
Um, let me see. I think he is right here. All right. So the picture on the screen is Dr. Gregory H. Stanton. He is a European. Okay. And this is a very lengthy it's a very lengthy introduction, but because this series is going to be so rich and so full,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to go through some of his accolades so we can
Okay.
get an idea of who he is.
Okay.
He's the founding president and chairman of Genocide Watch. It says Dr. Gregory H. Stanton is the founding president and chairman of Genocide Watch. From 2010 to 2019, he was a research professor in genocide studies and prevention at the School of Conflict Analysis and Resolution at George Mason University, Arlington, Virginia. From 2003 to 2009, he was the James Farmer Professor in Human Rights at the University of Maryland, Washington, in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Dr. Stanton founded Genocide Watch in 1999. He was the founder and director of the Cambodian Genocide Project and is currently the founder and chair of the Alliance Against Genocide, the world's first anti genocide coalition. From 2007 to 2009, he was the president of the International Association of Genocide Scholars. Dr. Stanton served in the United States State Department from 1992 to 1999, where he drafted the United Nations Security Council resolutions that created the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, the
Mm.
Burundi Commission of Inquiry, and the Central African Arms Flow Commission. He also drafted the United Nations peacekeeping operations resolutions that helped bring about an end to the Mozambique Civil War. In 1994, Dr. Stanton won the American Foreign Service Association's prestigious W. Averell Harriman Award for extraordinary contributions to the practice of diplomacy, exemplifying intellectual courage. Based on his dissent of United States policy of the Rwandan genocide, He wrote the State Department options paper on ways to bring the Khmer rule to justice in Cambodia. After leaving the State Department in 1999 to found Genocide Watch, Dr. Stanton was deeply involved in the UN Cambodian government negotiations that brought about the creation of Khmer Rouge Tribunal, for which he drafted that court's internal rules of procedure. From 1999 to 2000, Dr. Stanton served as co-chair of the Washington Working Group for the International Criminal Court. In 2000, he published a proposal to establish an Office for Genocide Prevention at the United Nations with other members of the International Campaign to End Genocide. He met with UN officials to lobby for the proposal. And in 2004, in Stockholm, United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan announced the creation of the Office of the Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide. Before he joined the State Department, Dr. Stanton was a legal advisor of RUK, R-U-K-H, the Ukrainian independence movement, where he was named the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America's 1992 Man of the Year. He was the chair of the American Bar Association, Young Lawyers Division Committee on Human Rights, and a member of the ABA's Standing Committees on World Order Under Law. Dr. Stanton comes from the lineage of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Remember the women's movement in Seneca Falls?
Mm-hmm.
He come from that lineage. Elizabeth what's her name? Elizabeth Candy Stanton? Caddy. Yeah, right. It's right. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the white woman, the women's suffragist. Yeah, that bitch right there, that white racist bitch. He come from her lineage.
Oh, wow.
Shocked the shit out of me. So he comes from the lineage of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, a women's suffrage activist. They in every United States history textbook in the public school system. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the other white lady with, they in every goddamn United history social studies book. And it said, and Henry Brewster Stanton, an anti-slavery leader. Actively involved in human rights since the 1960s, he was a voting rights worker in Mississippi. He served as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Ivory Coast and as the Church World Service Care Field Director in Cambodia in 1980. He has been a law professor at Washington and Lee, American University, and the University of Swaziland. And Dr. Stanton has degrees from Oberlin College, Harvard Divinity School, Yale Law School, and a doctorate in cultural anthropology from the University of Chicago. He was a fellow at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars from 2001 to 2002. So we putting a face to a name.
Most definitely.
And this white man here, he been around the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's studied, he's well-versed. And when we get into this article, like I said, with the examples that I literally pulled out from my research, get ready for a ride. This is going to be interesting. This gonna knock your goddamn socks off. Okay, now, were you able to pull up the article?
Yes.
I sent you. Okay, now, I'm gonna close that out. Okay. I am going to come back over to you. I'm going to. This the people I was telling you about. Hold on.
Right. Okay. All right. Peace and blessings, everybody. And we're getting prepared to go into the 10 stages of genocide. Our great Sister Mayat, has brung this awesome topic so that we can learn some things and understand some things so that we can grow and save ourselves as a people. It is truly about that time, truly about that time. There's things that have to get done, and we have to get it done. We have to move heaven or earth to make it happen. That's just what it's about at this point. That is what it's about at this point. So as our sister deals with her phone call, Let's see what I got in here to go over. And she'll be right back. Let's see. So while we're waiting,
I'm sorry, Maurice, I'm back.
okay,
He
perfect.
said he's going to have to call me back. That's fine. I'm
Mm,
sorry for the pause, but this is very important. So, okay, 10 stages of genocide. So, let's go to classification. So, based on what Dr. Gregory H. Stanton says, he said genocide is a process that develops in 10 stages that are predictable. And so, when we go through this series, I want you all to look at some of these keywords and phrases that he uses because we have to pay attention and focus on some of the words that he's using. This man is very studied. And to use these words, it's like they stand out, like they just stand out to me. And it's predictable, right? Genocide is a process. It's a process that develops in 10 stages that are predictable.
mm.
He said, but not inexorable. How you pronounce this word? Inexorable?
Inexorbitant.
No, I think it's inexorable. Inexorable. At each stage, prevention measures can stop it. I'm
Mm.
so hold on, Maurice. I'm so hyped right now from this phone call. I need to breathe.
Okay.
I'm just, you know how angry I am.
Mm-hmm.
Need to breathe. And I do apologize. If you have anybody that's in your life, I do apologize, family. But life happens. And I'm really trying to calm down. Okay, so here we go. Genocide is a process that develops into stages that are predictable, but not inexorable. The way that is pronounced as, hold on. Why is my phone? Sorry, I'm just sorry.
No, you good.
Inexorable. 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 Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay, so it's predictable, but not inexorable. Inexorable means impossible to stop. Okay, so
Mm.
you can predict it, but it's not like it's impossible to stop it, or it's not impossible to stop or prevent genocide. Okay.
Okay.
And it says at each stage, preventative measures can stop it. The latter stages must be preceded by the earlier stages, though earlier stages continue to operate through the process. Keyword process, predictable, preventative, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
look at classification. He says all cultures have categories to distinguish people into us and them by ethnicity, race, religion, or nationality. German and Jew, Hutu and Tutsi. If societies are too segregated, they are most likely to have genocide.
Mm.
The main way of preventing genocide at this early stage is to develop opportunities in a society for people to work and live together who are from different ethnic, social, national, or religious backgrounds. This will allow people to become more tolerant and understanding of each other. In the United States, public schools serve this function, as they are places where all young people can go regardless of their ethnic, social, national, or religious backgrounds. This search for common ground is vital to early prevention of suicide. Now, what stood out to me in this paragraph is We never really got fair opportunity in this country to work and live together with these white people. Did we?
Nope.
We never got no goddamn fair opportunity to live and work and grow and learn and love and produce in this goddamn racist ass country.
Nope.
It's easy for this white man to say because he never had to walk a day in our shoes. Not a day. But even what stood out to me more when he started talking about the Hutu and the Tutsis. Because Maurice, when I originally started reading this, I didn't know nothing about no Hutu and no Tutsis. Did you?
Yeah, I knew about them.
What did you know about? What did you know about them briefly?
Briefly, well, this happened in Rwanda.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the two people before the white man came, the two people got along in peace. Well, the white man came and made a separation of the two groups, and I don't know which one, but he favored one group against the other. And that group that he favored, they began to treat the other group like they ain't shit.
Exactly.
And once the white man got his ass out in all of the dirt that he did, then the other group say, oh, it's about time for us to get even with what y'all did to us.
Though when the white man sowed his seeds of dissension, when the white man brought his psychological warfare on African soil, all hell broke loose. Just like when the white man put his feet on the soil of North, South, and Central America. Everywhere the white man goes, he sows seeds of dissension and he immediately starts his genocidal process. And the first one is classification. And we're going to talk about that shit today. Am I showing my screen?
Oh, hold on, let me put it up there. Yep, you up now.
Okay, so for those of us that don't know about the Hutus and the Tutsis and the Rwanda massacre, like I know about the Rwanda massacre. Remember, we come from a generation, they were showing that shit on TV. I remember watching those people running, bloody, dead bodies everywhere. And because we American and we 3,000 miles across the ocean and we just going on with our lives, we just watched that shit and went on to the movie, went on to dinner, went out to the football game, the basketball game. And the large majority of us never really stopped to say, wait a goddamn minute. That's our brothers and sisters over there.
Right.
And how the fuck all this really started? And what are we going to do about it over here? So I had to go learn. I literally had to go learn about this. So, of course, I put up AI review, and it says the Hutu and Tutsi are the two main population groups in Rwanda and Burundi, with historical relations that have been marked by deep-seated tensions and conflict, most notably the 1994 Rwandan genocide. The division between the two was initially based on social class or social classification and wealth rather than distinct ethnicities, but was later exacerbated by colonial rule. Introduction of the white man. Before European colonization, the Hutus, which were like 85% of the population, were primarily farmers, while the Tutsis, of a small majority of the population, were mainly cattle herders who held more social and political power. And it says the smaller Twa group, or 1%, they were the indigenous people. The Twa, they were the hunter-gatherers, right? So it says the Twa were the indigenous. And the goddamn Hutu and the Tutsis, they pretty much came into the area and settled on top of the goddamn Twa. So it said the lines between Hutu and Tutsi were not fixed. Intermarriage was common. We family. Your daughter is marrying my son. We share a common grandchild. You see?
Right.
The Hutu who acquired wealth, especially cattle, could become a Tutsi. Conversely, a Tutsi who lost his wealth could be considered a Hutu. So we're pretty much one and the same.
Right.
Rwanda was a centralized kingdom ruled by a Tutsi monarch, the Mwami, from the 18th century on. The king controlled the land and cattle, consolidating Tutsi power over the Hutu majority. But after 1894, German, here come the European, and later the Belgian colonizers took control of the region. Seeking to control the local population, they codified social divisions into rigid racial identities. Here come the psychological warfare. Here comes the seeds of dissension. Here comes the devil on African soil, codifying, dividing racial identities. In the 1930s, the Belgians introduced mandatory identity cards that classified every person as Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa. This made movement between the groups impossible and solidified racial differences where few people had previously existed. I'm sorry, it said this made movement between the groups impossible and solidified racial differences where few had previously existed. So we ain't got no beef before this. But here come the goddamn white man with his classification cards. And now all of a sudden, we beefing with one another. The colonizers embraced Hamitic hypothesis, a now debunked theory that portrayed the Tutsi as having descended from a racially superior group from the Horn of Africa. The Belgians favored the minority Tutsi for administrative and educational roles, further marginalizing the Hutu majority and creating deep resentment. In the lead up to the independence in the late 1950s, the Belgians shifted their support to the Hutu majority, viewing the Hutu monarchy as increasingly opposed to colonial rule. So a Hutu revolt in 1959 led to mass violence against Tutsis and drove many into exile. When Rwanda gained independence in 1962, a Hutu-led government took control, solidifying decades of anti-Tutsi discrimination. 1990, Tutsi exiles formed the Rwandan Patriotic Front and invaded Rwanda from Uganda, sparking a civil war against the Hutu government. And during the war, Hutu extremists spread intense anti-Tutsi propaganda by way of radio, painting Tutsis as foreign enemies. 1994, April 6th, the plane carrying a Rwandan president, Juvenile, I can't pronounce his name. He was a Hutu. He was shot down. The event triggered the carefully planned genocide. This triggered a carefully planned genocide, though it remains disputed who was responsible. Over the next 100 days, Hutu extremists, including government forces and the Hamwe militia, systemically slaughtered between 800,000 and 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus. The RFP, led by Paul Kagame, renewed its offensive and eventually defeated the government forces in July 1994, ending the genocide and taking control of the country. And all this murder, death, and destruction from the Germans and the Belgians. Now, let's go here. Did I stop showing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go here.
Okay.
800,000 to 1 million Africans dead. Tell me when you're ready.
Ready. Okay. Whoops, hold on.
Suffered a horrific campaign of mass murder. Neighbor turned against neighbor as violence engulfed the region, resulting in the deaths of over 1/10 of the country's population. The seeds of this conflict were planted a century earlier, first when German and later Belgian colonizers arrived in the country. At the time, Rwanda was ruled by a monarchy of Tutsi, one of the 3 ethnic groups comprising the population. Tutsi and the even smaller Twa communities were minority groups, while Hutu composed the majority. Many Hutu and Tutsi civilians were on good terms, but colonial powers encouraged political division. Belgians enforced record-keeping around ethnic identity and created a public narrative that cast Tutsi as elite rulers and Hutu as ordinary farmers. Over time, this propaganda led to intense political hostility. And while colonial powers had largely withdrawn by 1959, lingering anger motivated a Hutu revolt, forcing many Tutsi leaders to flee the country. Over the following decade, Rwanda transitioned to an independent republic with a Hutu government. This new administration argued that as the majority group, Hutu deserved exclusive access to political power. They excluded the Tutsi minority by appointing offices based on population and prohibited the return of Tutsi families that had fled years earlier. Hutu extremists also circulated propaganda blaming Tutsi for the country's economic, social, and political problems. Discontent with their life in exile, a small group of Tutsi insurgents invaded Rwanda in 1990, beginning a violent civil war. The conflict lasted 3 years before it was resolved with a formal peace accord. But the war's aftermath was rife with insecurity. While some civilians in both groups remained amicable, the treaty intensified political polarization. And in 1994, when a plane carrying the Hutu Rwandan president was shot down, the conflict broke out anew. This time, Hutu officials had prepared a deadly response to ensure they stayed in power. Working off a list of targets, government-funded Hutu militias flooded the streets, perpetrating acts of physical and sexual violence against Tutsi political enemies and civilians. Over the chaotic following months, over 1 million Hutu civilians joined their ranks due to coercion, self-preservation, or the pursuit of personal agendas. Tutsi victims sought refuge at churches and schools, where they hoped international organizations would protect them. But no outside party came to their aid. UN soldiers who'd overseen the peace accord were instructed to abandon Tutsi civilians, and UN leadership refused to acknowledge the genocide taking place. The violence didn't end until mid-July, when the Tutsi army, who instigated the previous civil war, seized control of the country. By the time the fighting was over, roughly 800,000 Rwandans had been killed, and only a small fraction of the Tutsi population was left alive. In the months that followed, there was no easy strategy for bringing the killers to justice. The UN established a special tribunal in Tanzania to try the key perpetrators, but Hutu civilians from every level of society had committed atrocities against their neighbors, friends, and even family members. There were roughly 120,000 Rwandans awaiting trial, and inmates were dying from overcrowding and poor hygiene. The new Rwandan government estimated it would take 100 years to prosecute every accused civilian in national court. So officials determined the best path forward involved looking to the country's past. Rwanda has a traditional process for resolving interpersonal conflicts called gacaca, roughly translating to justice on the grass. Gacaca had long been used to address offenses within villages. Local witnesses would offer testimony and could then speak for or against the accused. Then, appointed lay judges would determine an appropriate penalty within the community's means. In the hope of trying perpetrators more quickly, the government adapted gacaca for their formal courts. These hybrid trials had no professional attorneys or judges, and no evidence outside the spoken word and a case file detailing the crimes of the accused. All charges were then divided into 4 categories: masterminding the genocide and committing acts of sexual violence, participating in the killings, physical assault, or destroying Tutsi property. Those found guilty of the first 2 categories were entered into the traditional court system, but the other crimes were assigned set penalties which could be reduced if the accused pled guilty. Beginning in 2002, thousands of gacaca courts convened every week. The process proved faster than conventional courts, but Rwandan opinion on the trials was mixed. Some didn't want to accuse their neighbors in a community setting, and many potential witnesses were intimidated to prevent their testimony. Additionally, while the trial showed that not all Hutu participated in the killings, the courts only reviewed cases with Tutsi victims, ignoring the Hutu casualties incurred during the genocide and the preceding civil war. When the trials concluded in 2012, the courts had convicted 1.7 million individuals. For some families, these verdicts helped restore the dignity of those lost in the violence. For others, the trials were a decade-long reminder of a past they were desperate to leave behind. The legacy of colonialism has affected Africa in innumerable ways. Learn how Thomas Sankara, nicknamed Africa's Che Guevara, campaigned to heal his country, Burkina Faso, from the wounds of its colonial past.
Ooh. The damage, the horror, the death, all from the goddamn Belgians and the Germans. What would our life be like if we never came in contact with these people?
I would think it would be good.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. They sow their seeds of dissension. That word factionalism is stuck in my head. Psychological warfare we see. And they come to our environments. They come to our communities, to continents where we are the majority. They come into our neighborhoods with their bullshit, with their tactics and techniques, and the process that develops and begin to separate us and classify us. And then you got the propaganda that goes along with it. Everything that we talked about in what did we just get finished reading?
Fall of America. We just got finished the CIA. COINTELPRO.
Everything we see in COINTELPRO. We're seeing it like with the genocide on a global scale. And it's coming from the European. We gotta think this shit out. These goddamn Germans and Europeans just showed up. They just showed up. They've been living over there for centuries. Friends, family, working together, farming together. And the goddamn white man show up and he's able to give you an identification card and classify you and separate you. And now y'all killing each other and sexually assaulting the women and children too. I remember the dead bodies that was everywhere. I remember. As a matter of fact, go ahead and speak on it if you want to. You can share whatever you recall.
And I'm glad that the Stanton created this document so that we can see, so that we can, with a sober mind, open up and see. And I'm glad he pointed to Rwanda, because a lot of people, it wasn't as well known as the Palestinian genocide that they're going under right now. And it doesn't seem to me that the world, quote unquote, governing bodies, the UN, all these other different high-powered organizations and quote unquote high-powered countries that have the ability to do something, but they did nothing. They've done nothing continuously. So I'm really happy to know that A, this stuff was listed, then B, it breaks it on down for you to understand. Because I said this before and I'll say it again, what you see going on in Gaza over in Palestine is the same thing that they have in mind when it comes to us. So it is very important that we pay attention. We pay attention and understand what is being said, and understand, as Mayat was talking about, the verbiage that is used. You got to pay attention to the words that are used, because those words were chosen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And they can use words that sound, oh, that's not harming, that's not an aggressive word, but you better think again. It is exactly a word of war that they are using against you. Like if we take the word not presumed, but perceived. Perceived. Now, when you think about the word perceived, it would seem to be a harmless word. But when you put perceived, when you're dealing with a racial injustice, and you make your report of somebody did this and wrote nigger on my wall, or threw bricks at my house and had the nigger written in bricks because they were committing their motives were racism. And then the police take the report, or the DA takes the report and say perceived racism. Because they use that word as perceived, they're down cutting your whole argument that is not real. That what you think happened actually didn't happen, and it actually didn't happen because of the motives that you used. So when they use that word perceived, when it comes in context to race, when it comes in context to justice, they're already knocking your complaint right out the water, because they use the word perceived instead of saying this is what actually happened. This is what the person perceived to have happened, meaning that it didn't really happen. So, I'm very excited that we're getting into this, because this stuff, we have to learn it, because this is warfare, and words matter, especially in warfare.
Exactly. And so something that was very interesting that I learned through this classification research is that they use machetes. That was one of the preferred tools or preferred weapons that was used to butcher Black bodies. And I'm reading on AI, and it says in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, machetes were a primary tool used to slaughter an estimated 800 people, overwhelmingly members of the Tutsi ethnic group. And the widespread use of these ordinary farming tools by Hutu extremists and civilian militias was a defining, horrifying aspect of the violence. Machetes. Now, something else it says, unlike more impersonal weapons like guns, the machete required what? Close, brutal physical contact with the victim. The development added a distinct dimension of cruelty and personal complicity to the violence. And it was 100 days of slaughtering. 100 days. And it says during the 100 days of slaughter, large groups of Tutsis who sought refuge in places like churches and schools, they were attacked with both firearms and machetes. The machetes were used for close range butchery after more modern weapons had been used in the initial assaults. And we're talking about men, women, children, babies. But correct me if I have this wrong, because I'm trying to process this all in my head. I had started studying, but I kind of I was so disgusted that I had to stop. So the Tutsis were being slaughtered wholesale, correct?
Correct.
So it was the Hutus that was the Hutus, because the Hutus, they were the lower class. Yeah, they were the lower class. So do you think that do you think that the Hutus felt that the Tutsis deserve to die because they took on a European mindset and began to think that the white man's favor set them apart so that they can, start shitting on their brothers and sisters? Do you think that's what when I started reading, I was like, well, shit, that's what you deserve. I don't want to look, I don't want to make it seem like I'm happy that this happened, Maurice. I'm not. But I understand what it feels like for Black people to think they shit don't stink just because you got a white husband or a white wife. You understand? Like the Charles Barkleys of the world and the Michael Jordans of the world and the Oprah Winfreys of the world and the Gayle Kings of the world. They think they some type of special kind of nigga just because they got favor with white America. But you still a nigga. Because if they didn't have that money and you didn't have that fucking talent, them crackers wouldn't want nothing to do with your ass. So when they put their foot on our neck and treat us like we are the lowly of society, and you put us in a box and you put us in a hole and you treat us like shit and you do all kind of evilness against us for the sake of the white man, and we running in exile and we get tired of the bullshit and we want our land back, it is what it is. Not only does the white man got to go, but every motherfucker, a nigga with black skin with a white mindset, your ass got to go too.
That's right. That is right.
But this right here, what happened, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, how did it get this far? Almost 1 million Black bodies butchered with a primary tool being a goddamn machete. Maurice, I'm trying to pull up some pictures now, but they were chopping off hands. They were cracking your skull with the machetes. It was a brutal death. And the seeds of dissension were sown once again by the white man.
That's right.
We can't put a number to the people, our people that have died as a result of psychological warfare. Because that's just 1 million right here.
Right.
We're talking about, what about Australia? What about North Central South America? What about right here in the streets of America today that have died because of these white people?
Exactly.
And I said to myself, remember with COINTELPRO, that hidden hand.
Right.
See, so we could just go in and sow seeds of dissension and divide you all, separate y'all, have y'all killing one another, and we just dip and go back and just sit back and watch that shit on the screen, watch y'all kill each other. Just like they watching Black people kill each other in Chicago.
That's right.
Sitting back watching us kill each other. And they are at the root of it all. What is it that we don't understand? What is it that we don't fucking understand? They're sitting back watching us kill each other.
Exactly.
With guns, machetes, drugs. We don't see it. Collectively, we just don't get it.
Right.
They were killing their neighbors and even family members. Did you hear that in the video?
Yes.
They were even killing some of their own family members. It says machetes enabled the participation of hundreds of thousands of ordinary Hutu citizens in the atrocities. Local leaders and military personnel encouraged or forced civilians to kill their neighbors with incentives such as money, food, or the promise of acquiring the victim's land. You could kill them, you could take their land. Remember, the Tutsis were the landowners.
Exactly.
They were the ruling class. So if you kill them, you can take their land that you had to work on for centuries and you was fine with, but now you can own it.
Right. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. This is something else. This is definitely something else. Whenever you allow our enemy to come between us and separate us, then you have murder. And one of the things that when you say that they used the machete, that was their primary weapon. And when you listen to law enforcement, they'll say if somebody, chopped you up, they used the knife to stab you up. That is personal.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Personal.
So I'm sitting here trying to imagine what all did they do to them that the masses were united with a mindset of I'm about to kill you. What all was done to them that they took everything personal and went out and executed. And then you said they even executed their neighbors, family members. That's personal. These people that you see each and every day. Personal. Personal.
Let me show you this. Let me show you this picture of this gentleman here. It was another picture I wanted to show. I think they must be I think they must have scrubbed the internet of a lot of these pictures because I don't see much of them anymore. Like even some I was able to get just a few days ago. Let me see, can I show this on my screen right quick? Okay. So this is a young man who was victimized by he made it out alive. Because a lot of people shit, he lucky just to have those scars. Can you imagine somebody coming across your face like that with a machete?
Oh my God.
Look at his skull.
Damn.
Above his ear, his cheek, high cheek, low cheek, under his chin. God knows what other parts of his body.
Damn.
Like, and I've seen other pictures, hands are missing, feet are missing. Like they were just butchering through these people like they were animals. Chopping their bodies up into small pieces and moving on to the next person. I remember seeing people running and screaming and crying and falling over each other, dying. But Maurice, I remember, and I don't like remember when cable first started coming out, we used to see images of African people starving and emaciated, flies all around them, stomach all bloated, dying from starvation. I didn't think about that until I became an adult and I came into consciousness and I realized that that's just a part of the white man's goal. Like what I'm trying to say is those people were not living like that. How the fuck you living like that and you in Africa on rich fertile soil and farmland?
Right.
That when we saw those pictures of those emaciated Africans, that's the same thing that white people did to the Native Americans when they put them on reservations. And what I'm trying to say is I realized when I became conscious that they had been pushed into areas that was not good for producing food, and white people more than likely took their farmland or they ran away from some type of fucking massacre. But I guarantee you 10 times out of 10, white people had something to do with that shit. The fuck you in Africa and you starving.
Right.
And it yields no good thing. It yields food in abundance. And I understand about climate change. I get that. But we are a nomadic people. Get your ass up and go. It's 3 times bigger than fucking America. Y'all up there starving and begging with flies. You emaciated. Your stomach is bloated. Your children is dying. Your bones is showing. That is what white people do.
That's right.
They take the most fertile soil, the best land, and they run your ass off in somewhere else where you can't even survive, barely survive. And then, like, we over here in America, the majority of us not trying to think, like, why is this shit happening?
Right.
Who is the culprit behind this? Because the same people behind classification are the same people that's planning holidays for us to participate in financially.
Say that.
It's the same people.
That's right.
It's the same fucking people. It's a goddamn, think of a building, one store on one floor, you planning some psychological shit against the Panthers and the goddamn Us Party. On the next floor, you planning the goddamn genocide. But on the next floor, you planning the goddamn holidays that you want us to participate in so you can get our money. On the next floor, you plotting against the goddamn gangs in Chicago. On the next floor, you plotting how to bring in the goddamn drugs and have us like fucking zombies and shit. On the next floor, you plotting and planning how to change our music so that we can be talking about shooting and killing and shit in every goddamn lyric and like this, the same goddamn white man. All under one fucking umbrella. And we seeing this shit. We've been seeing this shit. But I wasn't conscious enough to say, how the fuck did this happen? Why the fuck is you dying of starvation, bitch? You in Africa. How the fuck that happened? It took me all this time to see who the culprit is. It's the white man.
That's right.
It's the European. He does this everywhere he goes.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
And we're killing each other.
Yep.
They killing us. We killing ourselves. We killing each other.
Yep.
So that's all on classification. If you wanted to, no. Other classifications before we close out, because this is gonna be short. Let me ask you a question. Let me see. And I know, knowing you, I know you know the answer. What are some of the ways that we have been classified in the United States that you could think of?
Nigger.
Yep.
Nigger right there.
Colored.
Colored. Exactly.
Negro. African American. Black.
Yep.
They got so many goddamn names for us.
Exactly.
And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we got to drop that shit and we got to get our own.
Exactly.
We can't let our enemy give us a name.
No.
Because it's rooted in hatred.
Yes.
It's rooted in a sense of inferiority. That's what that shit is rooted in. We really got to shake this shit off. Coon.
Yep.
Is another one. They got so many things, so many names for us. Even changing our indigenous name to Christianized names because it made them feel more comfortable. You can't have your indigenous African name. You're going to take a Christian name because I feel comfortable with that shit. And so, last but not least, before we close out, share my screen one more time. Have you ever heard of the Racial Integrity Act of 1924?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, we're just going to read this and then we'll be gone. So the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, an attack on indigenous identity. But it even goes a little bit further than just indigenous identity. So at the beginning of the 20th century, this article came from, it says the National Park Service. This is a United States government website, National Park Service, and the article is the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, an attack on indigenous identity. At the beginning of the 20th century, the eugenics movement was gaining momentum. Eugenics is the practice of controlling reproduction to alter the genetic characteristics of a population. When you say they're guilty of that?
Most definitely.
Some advocates of eugenics believe that methods like selective breeding and sterilization would benefit human society by promoting beneficial traits. Remember, they were sterilizing our women?
Mm-hmm.
When they brought those Africans back to Israel and they were so happy to get on that goddamn plane and finally give me a second.
And there are so many pictures of this genocide in Rwanda, and just looking at the pain and the suffering that this enemy has done, that hidden hand that our people don't even realize that's at work. Man, I'm telling you, this enemy has done a job on our people. No matter where we are on this planet, this enemy has done a job on us. He has done a job on us.
Okay, I'm back. So those Africans were so happy to finally be recognized by the Israelis. They got their ass on a plane and settled in Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things the Israeli government did was sterilize these women, these Black African so-called Israelites or Jews, whatever you want to call them, so that they could not have children. So you can come here and practice your religion and your faith, but you're not going to have no babies. You can help defend the nation, because that's all the Israelis want. They just want people there to defend their bullshit.
Right.
And they sterilize them Black women, and they cannot have children. It says, but who decides? Who? Isn't that a very good question? Who decides which traits are desirable and which are undesirable? Historically, eugenics has been used to justify white supremacy, resulting in discriminatory policies and heinous practices like forced sterilization. One such policy was the Racial Integrity Act, which was passed in Virginia in 1924. And I said when we were reading Fall of America that one thing I learned from, there's an article I read some time ago, but we have to look at this historically. Virginia was the first permanent colony. That House of Burgess was very influential. When they passed laws, other colonies followed suit. They were relying on laws passed in Virginia to pass laws in other colonies. These motherfuckers wasn't that bright. They wasn't that smart. Don't we do the same thing today? California, New York, Florida, and Texas.
Yep.
The more they try to act like they don't get along, yes, you motherfuckers do. You just sit and watch what a bitch is doing, and then they jump on and they do it too.
Exactly.
It was the same way in colonial America with Virginia, up and all the way into 1924. So one such policy was the Racial Integrity Act, which was passed in Virginia in 1924. The new law prohibited interracial marriage and ushered in a long period of discriminatory racial designation administered by the government. Isn't that classification when they start talking about racially designating people?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
1924, racially designating people, saying who can get married and who cannot, and this is the government. One of the act's main proponents was a physician named Walter Ashby Plecker. As the head of Virginia's Bureau of Vital Statistics from 1912 to 1946, Mr. Plecker was responsible for ensuring, this is his job, this is what the fuck this cracker get paid to do, ensure that all infants born in Virginia receive birth certificates that include their racial designation. An active eugenist, Plecker used bureaucracy as a weapon against Black and Indigenous people across the state of Virginia. It was not until 1967 that the Racial Integrity Act was overturned by the United States Supreme Court in the Loving v. Virginia case. Nevertheless, Plecker's legacy of racial discrimination still impacts communities today, in particular tribal communities. Many find it difficult to document their ancestral lineage due to the paper genocide that identify all non-white individuals as what? What word you see?
Blow it up. I can't see.
Colored. It says colored.
Wow.
Many find it difficult to document. A lot of Black people, we can't even document our ancestral lineage in America due to paper genocide that identified us as colored, regardless of your goddamn identity. Despite the challenge, 7 tribes have gained federal recognition in Virginia. So when we start talking about all that shit on our birth certificates and color, let me show you this individual. And I'm not saying that all of us are pre-Columbian. I'm just saying there is a large majority of Black people in this country who were here before the goddamn Europeans got here. And then there are many who came here during the slave trade. A lot of people don't believe that. That's fine. But based upon my research, it's a lot of Black people that were already here. And I call them pre-Columbian. What the fuck somebody else called them, I don't know. But all of us did not come here on no goddamn slave ship. And this cracker right here that I'm going to show you on the screen, he is responsible for birth certificates that now that they have our racial identity on it. Let me show you this white man. Racist as hell. Racist as hell. Here he is right here.
Okay.
There he is. Look at all the white people. The Bureau of Statistics. Look at them. Just classifying us. You could have been indigenous, Black, but now you colored. You can't trace your shit. And I think that's very important for us to know who we are.
Exactly.
And the circumstances under which we got here. That's very important. I'm not here to argue about no Indian shit. I'm not here to do that. But I'm just saying, a lot of us were here. We had land, as far as the eye can see, hunting grounds, burial sites. Like in a few days, I'm on my way on a historical tour. I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'm going to tell you about this historical tour when I get back. This historical tour is going to be an amazing experience because one particular spot I'm going to, I was weeping. I was literally crying this morning, and I haven't even gotten yet. And I'm thinking to myself, what spirits are going to be there? What stories will I hear? What pictures will I see? Because this is going to be a trip. This is going to be a trip of a lifetime. But the racism that we have dealt with is so deep, Maurice, that we could talk about this shit for 1,000 years and still have more to talk about.
That's right.
It's so deep what they have done, how they plot and plan against us to bring hurt, harm, and danger to us. And the first thing that this man said is that people should be allowed to have the opportunity to live. And we haven't had that.
Nope.
Just the opportunity. From the day Columbus reached the Caribbean islands, Christopher Columbus, first of all, let's go back a little bit. One of his responsibilities, among other things, we know he was supposed to claim land, right?
Right.
Isabella wanted him to convert the people that he encountered. Why was that important to Isabella? Because remember, it was with these holy crusades, it was the Muslims versus the Christians.
That's right.
And the Muslims was kicking they ass.
That's right.
The Muslims was kicking the Christians' ass. Dr. John Henrik Clarke said, one of the reasons why, and this is just one of the reasons why the Moors met their demise, because of infighting. They were supposed to go get their wives from Africa, but they're going into the Iberian Peninsula, conquering white people, but they having sex with the white woman. And them white men did not like that shit. So a lot of infighting. But he had a responsibility to convert people to Christianity, even if it meant doing it forcefully, right?
Right.
And he wrote in his diary, these people in America, they so kind, they're generous, they're peaceful, they not warlike. And the first thing he did was start kidnapping them. Kidnapping and enslaving. You don't find enough gold, I'll chop your goddamn hands off, feet off, head off. They go to Australia. They almost wiped out all the Aboriginals of Australia. Did you know there's an island in the Caribbean full of white people that speak French? Hello?
Yep.
You knew that?
Say that one more time.
I said, did you know that there is an island out in the Caribbean that's full of white people that speak French?
No.
Yeah, they done wiped all the goddamn people off the island and took up house. So that's all I wanted to share tonight. They've just gone all over the world, classifying, committing genocide, sowing seeds of dissension. And at the end of it all, we're dying. We're dying.
What, do you have the name of the island?
No, I came across it years ago, and it shocked me. It shocked me to know that it had a white population of French people who colonized the island. And then there's another island. It's some island out there. I forgot what island. I'm sorry, but I think it's either France. I think the French government has control over this black population of people out there in the Caribbean, and they're fighting because they said the food is so goddamn high. Like, y'all need to fight for their goddamn independence. Fuck them France way across the ocean. Fuck them. Fight for your independence and create your own. So again, the white man is the devil. We need to see him for who he really is.
That's right.
And that's just the first stage of genocide, classification. We cannot allow them to racially divide us. In no kind of way. We should not be even divided over religion.
That's right.
We should not be divided. There should be no division of this shit. This shit is so far beyond me with this classification bullshit. And we see it in our life. Oh, you black, you African. And where the fuck does black and brown people come from? When the fuck we start saying that? What is it gonna be 5-10 years from now? What the fuck is a brown? Who the fuck is the brown people?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the brown people? I'm asking, who are they?
The brown people are supposed to be the Mexicans, supposed to be the islanders. Those are the brown people. Those are the brown.
I'll rest. I'm done tonight.
Exactly. And this was very, very good, very interesting. And you put a thought in my mind now. What happened to the original people that were on Jamaica, the original people that were in the Caribbean? Because they took slaves there and took over. Did they execute all the original people that were on that land?
Maurice, I am coming to the conclusion that when it comes to history, we have to be very careful and selective in regards to the information that we believe and disseminate. Because I'm starting to think that a lot of the stuff that they've told us about the pre-Columbian people is a fucking lie. It's just a big ass lie.
Mm.
A lot of those native people were just transferred to another island.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were. And so we know that they say many of them died from
Right.
microscopic diseases.
Right.
But I do not believe the numbers are correct. Just like I don't believe that the numbers of slaves is correct. I just don't believe the numbers are correct. I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I just really don't believe the population that they want us to. And so I do believe that many of us are still here. And the Bonampak, I call them the Bonampak or the Olmec. If you ever see images of the Olmec, one of the beautiful images of the Olmec is that they have a musical procession. And you can look at those images and see the beautiful instruments. You can see the maracas, the trumpets, the drums, and they would dress in feathers, loincloth, beautiful jewelry, and they would just have musical processions, dancing, and it was extremely festive. The only people that I know that still have musical processions today that have the feathers, the drums, the trumpets, the maraca, all that shit is us. We still doing that shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the Caribbean, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna go to Junkanoo. If you go, or you're gonna go to Carnival, where they have all the instruments and the girls and the men are dressed in the beautiful costumes with feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Olmec was doing that shit. Why are we still doing that shit today? At Carnival, at Junkanoo. Why do we see that shit in New Orleans? Why are they doing musical processions in New Orleans second line every goddamn Sunday? You mean to tell me that we just pull that shit out of thin air? Or is it in our ancestral DNA? Because we've been doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't wipe all of us out. That's a lie. They did not wipe all the pre-Columbians out that were here. I don't believe that. I personally don't believe that. I just don't. And I rest with that. Like I said, tonight is not going to be long. So now we know that classification is one of the stages of genocide. And we have to basically what Mr. Stanton, I think Mr. Stanton is saying is that we got to, if you know that genocide is the end game and classification is one of the stages of it, now what do we do? Now what do we do?
We have to come out of their names, because it's something that keeps us divided. To this very day, right here, right now, we're still divided. And we don't understand that in a name there's power. There's power in a name. And so some of us are so proud to walk around with the white man's name. I'm Johnson. I'm Culpepper. I'm O'Reilly. I'm Brown. I'm proud to be this. I'm this. And have the nerve to celebrate their slave master names. You see it with that cracker who Thomas Jefferson. His white half and his nigger half. You get together every so many years and have a cookout together.
Oh my God.
These niggas love their master. And that brings the separation because they will protect their master. Because they'll say that people like us, oh, them some dangerous niggas. They out to overrun master. They out to try to separate from master. And see, there's that separation because they cling on to their old master. When everything about their master, time is up. So they have to accept their own, and we have to be ourselves. We can't be what the enemy made us to be. We have to reject that. We have to accept our own and be ourselves because that's the only way out. Anything less, you're going to get the guillotine. I mean, that's just straight up. You got to come out the names of these enemies. You got to come out of their thinking because it's so ingrained in our people. But if we don't come out of that cracker's thinking, you can kiss your ass goodbye. It's just that simple. So this, just like the other, and it seems to me, and it's interesting because it's not, none of it was pre-planned, but every book, everything that we're doing is a building block. And it strengthens what the foundation is as we continue to build. This is very important. Very important. We taught the white man is the devil. And now you're learning the reasoning why the white man is the devil. You're coming face to face with it. And when you come face to face with that knowledge and that understanding, you better make a decision. You better make a decision. You better understand a decision that has to be made. Because this is real life. This is real life. I thank you again, Sister Maya, for your due diligence in having these topics. Because it is very important. Very, very important. And it's coming to you for a reason. So let us be mindful. Learn what we have to learn and apply it. Because this will save your lives. Truth has come to you. All right. Anything else, Queen, you want to say before we shut it down?
No, that's it.
All right. So as we always say, let me welcome Brother William Bell to the program. Peace and blessings. Sister Emerald Modesty, peace and blessings. Brick Brother Willie Rivers, peace and blessings. We're glad that all y'all showed up. And those who are watching and haven't left a comment, peace and blessings to you all as well. Remember, this is what you got. This is on your time. This is on your clock. Let's do what need to be done. As we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. Love y'all. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum.
So you better get the message and get it straight. You're gonna need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.